for this morning. Now, the main headline on the Daily Trust says low turnout, lack of cash mar the federal government's 50% discount for travelers. Riders are saying 5 million commuters targeted for support. That's according to the information minister. 5 companies approved for logistics, and racketeering returns to Regasa train station. Now, all the stories you find on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Below the headmaster, it says Port Harcourt refinery begins operation after Christmas. That's according to the minister. Nigeria would have to hold on to them on that one. 88% of Nigerians self-employed. That's according to the National Bureau of Statistics report. NNPP supporters result to prayers as Supreme Court reserves their judgment. Below there, we see a man accuses in-laws of spending lost and found hard currency. You find that on page 20. PDP calls for Oshomole's investigation over vote buying. You find that political story on page 12. Senate confirms 11 Supreme Court justices. Below the belt, we have CBN investigator uncovers 593 foreign accounts opened by Emefiele. That's a deep finding. Over 543 million euros in UK fixed deposits, more in USA and China. Additional infractions discovered in Nigeria. You'll find this interesting story on page 5, and we have an in-depth. Daily Trust did say, 1 year after Abuja community awaits overhead bridge at railway crossing. Now, these are some of the stories on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
Let's now move to leadership on Friday. The lead story there says Obaze report may worsen Emefiele's woes. Alleges former CBN governor operated 593 foreign accounts without authorization. Manipulated exchange rate, says 17.4 trillion naira, ways and means unaccounted for. Interesting. 543,482,213 pounds kept in fixed deposits in UK. Tunde Sabiu, originator of Naira redesign. This is interesting as more details continue to crop up with regards to Godwin Emefiele's woes. Also atop the page, we see FCT blames water scarcity on climate change. Beside that, Supreme Court reserves judgment in Kanu appeal. Below the pictorial, we see Catholic bishops reject blessings for same-sex marriage. That's quite a controversial story. There you can catch that on page 6. And also finally, Senate confirms 11 justices for the Apex Court. Now, of course, we know that following the confirmation of these justices, it increases the number of the justices of the Supreme Court from its initial 10 to its full complement of 21 justices.
All right, let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. The major story on the Guardian says Nigeria, the making of a human rights abuse heaven. You'll find this big story on page 4 and 5. Supreme Court reserves judgment in Kano Guba case. Additional wins Obafemi Awolowo Leadership Prize. We have again NBS pegs unemployment rate at 4.2% amid business closure. Reps summon Sirika over Nigerian air project. We have passengers stranded as 50% transportation rebate. The scheme stalls. Tinubu's wife launches 950 million naira support scheme for the elderly. Reps consider semester-based fees for tertiary institutions. I wonder if that would be a welcome development, for the Nigerian student. House summons minister and CBN over limited withdrawals from the banks and the ATMs. Now, these are some of the stories on the Guardian newspaper today.
Until the Daily Independent lead story there says NNPC attains mechanical completion of Port Harcourt refinery, achieves flare startup of refinery's Area 5 plant. Dangote refinery gets second 1 million barrels of crude. Atop the page, we see federal government unveils transport companies participating in Tinubu's 50% rebate. Also, Rivers crisis, PDP blasts Lamido over utterances capable of dragging party down. Other stories there says federal government plans to increase flying hours to Sunset Airport for Yuletide. Also, Supreme Court reserves judgment in Yusuf Gawuna tussle for Kanu Guba. Senate confirms 11 Supreme Court justices. NEC raises committees on economic affairs, crude oil theft, management. Angola leaves OPEC. You want to know why? Well, you can check page 29. I bet they said it's around something around OPEC not serving their interest or thereabout. But then read page 29 of the leadership to get more details. Tinubu arrives in Lagos for Christmas. That story is on page 29. Reps summon ex-aviation minister Sirika over Nigeria Air project. It's seeming as if the Nigeria Air project left the public space as quickly as the minister left office. But then again, Yuletide, Governor Nwifuru approves 100,000 naira each for workers. You can read more on that story on page 2, which I know a lot of civil servants are going to read up on. But there you have it. These are some of the stories on the front page of the Daily Independent newspaper.
Nigeria's monthly expenditure declines to 1.3 trillion naira as fiscal deficit hits 727 billion naira. This is the major story on the Nigerian News Direct, and you'll find this on page 3. Below that, we have a pictorial of the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, hosted by the Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, and Ogun State Commissioner for Finance and Chief Economic Advisor, Mr. Dapo Okubadejo, at the Governor's office in Abeokuta. At the top of beside that, we have out-of-school children. We are engaging the state government to tackle bottlenecks hindering success of UBEC funds. That's according to the federal government. NNPC Limited achieves mechanical completion and flare start-up of Port Harcourt refinery. You find that on page 11. Airtel Africa hits 150 million customer marks. We have Yuletide. UBA Foundation donates food items to residents across 20 countries. Supreme Court gets 11 new justices following the Senate confirmation. Now, this is some of the stories on the Nigerian News Direct. And right now, we have joining us to review the front pages of the national dailies, Malam Nuruddin Abdullah, the editor of 21st Century Chronicle. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Malam Nuruddin.
Good morning,
It's good to have you again.
I will say you're looking like a minister this morning.
At this point, we should expect the unexpected, right?
Indeed.
It's a Yuletide season.
Yes, indeed, it is.
So it's all about the festive.
Talking about Yuletide, I mean, the lead story on the Daily Trust, low turnout of cash might mar the season. On my way to work this morning, I stopped by a POS operator to get cash, and he was telling me of how he has so far amassed close to 1.6 million naira cash, just in case, because he knows that there's going to be a crazy demand for cash between today and Monday, which is Christmas Day. And by the way, viewers, if the bank closed today by 4 p.m., it means that you would have to rely on ATMs to get cash. So, which means you really need to get cash now, because if you don't get cash today, you will not get cash over the weekend. And Monday is Christmas. You're more likely to get cash by Wednesday next week.
I think they'll be closing by 2 p.m.
Yeah. 2 p.m. is the time. So this is the reason why he said he has amassed close to 1.6 million and he's expecting another 1 million. And from 4 p.m. today, he is going to increase the charge fee from 100 naira for 2,000 naira to 200 naira for 2,000 naira. So, are you worried?
To a certain extent, but this is expected. Particularly, people are traveling. And people normally travel from the urban centers to the rural areas. where cash is
key
in whatever they do. And coupled with the cashless policy, how much do you get in the banking hall? I think they say not more than, is it 20,000 or 10,000?
Yes. 20,000.
You understand?
Depends.
So, when you look at these things side by side, you understand the situation. They have increased already. Yesterday I had calls to get cash. Hardly use cash. I have my cards wherever I go.
Indeed.
I think was it 10,000, then they remove, I saw was it 10,300. I say, wow.
It has
He said, yes,
already.
yeah, it should have the chart here in Abuja. So you can understand the situation. And people are buying all manner of things. Food items, animals, and what have you. And they go to rural
settlements.
I remember yesterday somebody went, was it jail or something like that? They have to get money, cash here. Because the people understand all transactions must be cash backed, particularly with the fake
Transfer alerts.
usually transfer. Some unscrupulous element are worse than the situation.
Yes, indeed.
They can easily send you a fake alert.
So
and by the
people
time they
don't
are
really
out,
trust you anymore
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
transaction. All right, let's talk about the federal government coming out to reduce about 50% discount. Working with some selected transport companies in order to ease off. Because I saw them printing out the details of where these transport companies are headed to and all that. But then there is still low turnout because even the 50% Nigerians cannot really afford it. So what is your take? And there is also that complaints about the federal government have not actually implemented what they said.
I think two things. The decision was hurriedly taken. I believe a week or even 2 weeks before this announcement, which was I think Tuesday or the Wednesday, things should have been put in place. Okay, if you're going to Kaduna, which transport company will you go to? If you're in city center, you go to Jabi Garage or Mabushi here. They are not transport companies. They are not Chiscos. They are not Kaduna Transport Authority or what have you. If they have done it much earlier, I think maybe, unfortunately, some of the decisions by the present administration seems to be impulsive. You understand? Just maybe playing to the gallery. This thing should have been properly thought out. It would have been, I don't know, maybe go to Mabushi. From here to Kaduna is about 6,000. If I'm not...
Indeed,
we used to go to Kaduna 1,500 now.
You used to. Emphasis on used to.
You understand? That was, I think the last time was, the fuel was hovering about 400 plus.
Indeed.
I don't know the price now. 6,000, did I know? From Kaduna to Kano is 6,000 naira. You understand? So, how do you go to Mabushi now? You tell them, okay, you are the federal government picking, you are paying 3K. I don't know what will happen. Or you go to Jabi.
Who pays the balance?
I don't know.
Maybe
So there's a bit of there's no clarity.
So that is one. And secondly, people travel now when it is absolutely necessary.
Indeed.
If you close home now, you used to go to climb hills and what have you. I can't remember the last time I saw him.
I think he was the author of this house saying, "Ba ya umbanza yazuna." No.
You understand? From work home, you can only go out if it is absolutely necessary because of the foiling.
Nigerians have been forced to become introverts. Well,
More discipline, I would say.
But then again, let's talk about this one. It's trickled across the Daily Trust, Punch newspaper, and some other national dailies. It says Emefiele operated 593 illegal US, UK, and China accounts. It also mentioned some figures there. Sumi, if you could help me with that. I think around 500 and...
Yes, 543 million euro in UK fixed deposits and also more in USA and China.
What do you make of these new developments?
So that's most unfortunate, I think maybe it just gives the tip of the iceberg. Of course, it's...
So more to come.
Definitely, what of the charges filed by the DSS?
Indeed.
Yeah, that was what I wanted to say. Could it be that how come this, news didn't come out earlier when they were going back and forth in court?
Well, because
Could it be that they didn't do their job?
is the outcome of an investigation by the CBN investigator that was employed by the presidency. So then again, we're expecting more information to come out. But then one particular name, which do I say I was surprised to see or not surprised to see, was Tunde Sabiu. His name was mentioned. Is there any cause for worry bearing the relationship that he shares with the former president?
Don't forget, it was Buhari's administration, and Tunde was the personal assistant.
The principal private secretary.
Okay, PPS. So you know what that means. And with the death of the then Chief of Staff, Abakari, he automatically transmuted into the Chief of Staff. And you saw how powerful.
De facto Chief of Staff.
He decides who sees the president. You remember some ministers?
Indeed.
He decides which approval gets the president note, and so on. So he was so powerful. Yeah. He was of a young age, but extremely powerful. And with what happened, it was not surprising when the likes of MFLA, don't forget MFLA bought the nomination form of the APC presidential race, while he was sitting governor of the central bank, unprecedented in any African country, don't even go Europe, unprecedented.
And we
He
saw
was
how
the
that
CBN
conversation
governor,
died
and
down.
he availed himself. It took the intervention of some Nigerians to go to court and whatever. And you see how he was even bragging. I hope that will serve as a lesson. MFL now is in Kuje prison. He was granted bail, 2 sureties with at the tune of 300 million naira each, with property in Abuja. Almost 2 months, he couldn't get these 2 people. Less than 1 year after he was removed of the CBN governor.
So nobody could stand for him.
That's it. So lesson for all. You see, you remember when he was taken to court and the court stopped him. You remember that how he was bragging inside the villa. So you must have the ears, the nose, the mouth of the like of the Tundes of that time.
Who this report alleged is the author of the Naira redesign.
You saw what happened. That was one of the most ridiculous things that happened under the Buhari's regime. The then Minister of Finance, who's supposed to be member or even chair of the CBN board, was at the National Assembly, and she was asked, Hajia, can you explain? She said, sorry, maybe you direct your question to the CBN. I know nothing about it. Hours later, there was a statement from the CBN, from the presidency, saying that yes, Mr. President has approved without recourse to his finance minister or the chief economic advisor.
Now, Malam Nuruddin, there seems to be a lot of, earlier we were talking about this with Sage, where sometimes people are not given their job description to do it properly. I mean, talking about earlier when Dele Alake came out to make the announcement on this transport, 50% transport, and we're like, is he even in the best position to make that kind of announcement? So what is going on in this administration where somebody does not really do their job? A lot of things about their job description, it's not, they don't even have any knowledge of that.
So maybe as a caveat, we are operating a presidential system. Your job description is determined by the president. You may have no role, and you may be assigned greater roles than even those that have those roles. So what Shibalake did is not surprising. Tunde was just PPS. According to this report you have just mentioned, he initiated
the Naira redesign
that almost crashed the economy. Just PPS. That decision was taken without the knowledge of the finance minister. Talk less of the National Assembly, even though monies will be expended on it. Those monies must be appropriated by the National Assembly.
Approved.
Come on, PPS. So in a presidential system, whether at the state or federal level, Hajia, if you can have no role, you can be the friend of the governor or a friend of the president, and you can wield the stick.
That's really a sad situation. All right, speaking of holding people accountable, Sagel, I want to just touch on this one. We saw the reps summoning Hadi Sirika on the Nigerian... yes, that is one of the... That was one of the comments that I kept seeing Nigerians making, you know, finally, you know, it's something that we've always expected. But then, do you see this going in favor of a Nigeria economy and the people, and not of the usual, you know, people getting away with a lot of things, even after all evidence are displayed out?
The National Assembly has the constitutional role of oversight. In the last 7 months that they came on board, how many of such public hearings have they done? Maybe if you can count, maybe up to 10 or so. What is the outcome?
We saw the very flamboyant one about the IPPIS and also the job scam at the Federal Character Commission.
What happened now? Where are we?
We've not heard anything afterwards. I mean,
maybe it's the job for the editors or the boys.
We are saddled with a lot of responsibility to keep probing.
So they are busy?
Not really. Unfortunately, over time, the National Assembly members normally play to the gallery. When there's an issue, someone you want to be. If you don't, like now, I think they have issued an arrest warrant for one of an agency.
In usual
fashion.
fashion.
Come and see them. I hope this National Assembly will be more honorable to say, no, off the mic. I hope we will not have such ridiculous situation. So we hope the Sirika thing will, whoever chop must vomit. That's
even if it's the snake.
Do you blame the National Assembly alone, or more like blame it on the short attention span of Nigerians? I mean, in the last few years, we've seen topical issues that have rented the public space, only for 2 weeks later, unfortunately, they get taken over by, say, Big Brother Niger. I'm sorry I have to mention names, but that's the situation. You see big issues, controversial issues. I mean, at some point, the Naira scarcity was such a big issue, but then how many days did it take for it to trickle down the moment that we started having access to cash? And the question of holding people responsible for all of the damages and the crippling effect it had on not just Nigerians, but also Nigeria and its economy. We're just seeing Emefiele being held accountable. Of course, he couldn't have been the only one who orchestrated this. Indeed. So, do we blame our government alone? Or perhaps we as a people also have some portions in this blame game and blame sharing?
I will apportion very insignificant percentage of the blame to Nigerians.
Why?
Nigerians must survive.
True.
If you are stick to this, people have to take their minds to something soft so that they can live to see the next episode.
So it's a coping
of
mechanism.
The scandal. Yes.
Unfortunately.
And see again, if you are talking about maybe Naira scarcity or fuel scarcity or what have you, they will just, the journalists will just splash that single individual with no specific role has stolen this amount. Look at it. Just wait for the details of this report, and you'll see who and who is involved. They are the people we so much respect in our churches, in our mosques, and what have you. They are the people that get the traditional titles, and what have you. So that is the way the country is segmented now. And Nigeria, you can't kill yourself. All those reports by the National Assembly, do you ask why they are not being implemented? Yes, I understand they are advisory. The executive arm must do the implementation. Do they do the implementation? Do you ask them why they are not doing the implementation? So these are some of the situations you understand. They say this country is not balanced. It's true. We are talking about MFLA now. By Monday, something bigger will come. We will forget about this and move.
But why should we forget? I mean, I would recall the Japa syndrome situation where it was all hyped on, and then someone pointed out that we are quick to run and desert our own and go for the better. Meanwhile, people over there also die, to push for that economy to be in the better state. For you people to want to go and latch onto that enjoyment. So how come Nigerians don't have that will to push on something and make sure they also get the better economy that they deserve?
I think there are two different issues here. They build institutions over there. We don't have institutions here. Isagi is here. The moment he leaves, all the reforms he did
goes with
him. We build stronger men, not stronger institutions. Look at the United States. The president says, okay, I want this. A magistrate in Maryland or Virginia will overrule him. When Trump listed about 7 countries and said he banned them from the United States, a magistrate said, no, Mr. President, you don't have rights. Can that happen here?
Yeah.
So these are some of the... I don't blame Nigerians much. We have the National Assembly. Where were they when all these things happening? One, for 8 years, all these things was happening. They were beneficiaries to most of it. Their wives, look at that dollar stuff. They can't give dollar to airlines, and some, if Nigeria is importing something, machineries, consumables, or whatever, from, you can't get dollar. But every month, there is a list of people that are sent to MFLA. Give them from $500 to $1 million. You ask why? How can he be propped by the National Assembly? There are certain things. He who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
Clean hands, indeed.
The onus lies on the president, the governor, or what have you. Let me just give one example. The sequestered forex regime we had during Buhari's time. When tinubu came, he said no. Do you know why? Because he was not ready to benefit from it. Or his family members. Maybe some of his family members will even be angry. Mr. President, why? You can get dollar at 420, you sell it at 100. You can get up to 50, 100, 200 million based on the people you know at the totem pole of power from your bedroom. But when Tinubu came, one single, he said no. Let it be normal at the INE. He denied himself that something. When Buhari came, he held on to the oil sector. We thought that something good will happen. But unfortunately, it was not. When you distance yourself from the mess, then you can checkmate whoever violates the law. But the head of the agency, there was nothing Buhari could do to MFLA because Buhari's men, Buhari's women were benefiting from all the mess that was taking place while the country was feeling the brunt. That was why MFLA was declared wanted by the DSS, but he could not be arrested. You published that traditional rulers from the north, south, east, west were trooping to Abuja. Please, Bichi, if you arrest MFLA, the country will collapse. Okay. It was that bad. So it's an institutional thing. Okay, the poor man, what do you want the woman selling courses by the roadside to do? She's a widow. You remove subsidy in education. She has children, she has 3 kids in the university. Now she's paying between 150 to 400 based on the part of the country she belongs to.
And the course of study.
So these are some of the, it's really pathetic, So we really need strong institutions. Build institutions. And everybody will be subjected to it. But when you say, no, with your mustache, do like this. You can't be there forever.
It's not me. You see, this is the issue. You talk to me like it's me. Now you made an analogy with my mustache and you said, yeah, but in any case, should Nigerians be celebrating now? Because the federal government had announced late Thursday that the Port Harcourt refinery has
been mechanically
completed. You know, you see these terminologies, right? So that was how during the Buhari administration we got information that Boko Haram had been technically defeated. You see, all these technical terms, Nigerians have come not to really trust it so much.
I think
but
it's
then
done
again,
as a loophole.
exactly.
That way they can say
we saw videos where flaring started. They said it's been mechanically completed. Should we celebrate this?
Mechanically ready.
Or we should celebrate mechanically?
I think maybe, the NNPC management had a timeline. Port Harcourt refinery is the NNPC's Christmas gift to Nigerians, particularly with the biting economic situation occasioned by fuel subsidy removal. So, what they don't want you to hold them responsible by issuing that statement, by getting their engineering. I don't think that statement was done by the public affairs or something. The engineering. Okay, there is flaring now. Have they started refining?
Well, they said, you see, that's the thing with statements, right? So they said perhaps refining and also transmission via pipelines will commence after Christmas. Now, we know Christmas is in a few days' time, but after Christmas could be either on the 26th of December or on the 26th of December next year.
Yes.
So it all depends in this case. So what are your expectations with regards to that? Do you think we're going to see it sooner than later?
I think, yeah. And you know what Nigerians should do? They should keep on mounting the pressure. You promise this, you have to deliver. Yes, now, like Buhari's time, we hope that it will not be like Buhari's time, that the Borate uncle killed Sheikh almost 8 times.
Well, he's a cat, apparently, with 9 lives, so...
He was killed almost 8 times, you understand. And Boko Haram in general was technically defeated, was mechanically defeated, was maybe financially defeated. But we hope that, let Nigeria mount the pressure, particularly with the fuel subsidy removals, you know, affecting almost every household in the country, big and
small.
No. So maybe when we do that, you know, we'll hold Melekari. His appointment has just been renewed, right? The board has just been inaugurated. So maybe thank you, Mr. Is it GCEO, right? It used to be GM.
NNPC.
Exactly.
Yes, GCEO.
Thank you for mechanically delivering Port Harcourt refinery. But please, we want to see it refining PMS. They may say the next stage, maybe they say they have started maybe refining
gas,
paraffin, maybe the AI, what do they call it, the airline. Let them go and do PMS direct. She should be advised.
Let's not go to jet fuel first.
Exactly. Or bitumen or something like that. Let them start with PMS, which is what affects Nigerians. You understand? So when the pressure is there, like you say, maybe particularly the media, that should be on the front burner. We should not forget that. Maybe we should even put a timeline. When Chibok girls were abducted, almost all the newspapers, they will count.
Yes.
10 days in captivity, 20.
I think only Daily Trust still does that.
Exactly. You understand. So that, it will remain in the public consciousness. Even though the people responsible for the rescue, they may not like it. Okay. NNPC is a very big advertiser to many newspapers. They don't want Melekari sometimes angry.
But then Melekari made mention that even after execution of the refineries, there should be no expectation that the fuel price would drop.
But then again, Dangote is coming on board. It was served its first 1 million. Selling of the second 1 million is underway. I'm talking about crude products. The Port Harcourt refinery is saying that it might start by refining around 60,000 barrels per day. Expectations. Good news, maybe not. Then again, on another hand, the Senate confirmed 11 justices of the Supreme Court on Thursday. For the first time since the creation of the Supreme Court, it's going to have its full complement of 21 justices. Do you see this in any way impacting Nigeria's judicial landscape?
Definitely. It will expedite the justice delivery. They have been operating without 11 up there. But, don't be quick in saying that, because maybe after Christmas, another justice will retire.
Exactly. You see, these are the challenges. So
it was the Buhari's thing, you understand? NJC is there. It is their role. There is a vacancy, fill it. Let's move on. But the way, things that should not be done in some fraction of seconds will take days to be done.
It's really a sad
situation. It will take months and whatever. So I don't know even maybe if the Court of Appeal in particular is properly constituted. The number determines even at that. Remember what the CJN said? We are so much overloaded. And every case must go to the Supreme Court again.
Indeed. I think the Supreme Court has around
an issue with the POS man that he made now. You will take the matter to the Supreme Court.
Well, I don't have an issue with the POS man right now, but then again, I think 1,000 or 1,700 cases are waiting trial.
Of course, I think we just have to take a stop on this one.
I'm not going to take you to court yet, but then this is the much we can take on the program.